Welcome to day 10 of my 12 days of Easter, and this is part 2 of my wild garlic sourdough and spring garden tour. If you missed part 1, not to worry, I'll link it at the end. So at the end of part 1, we had finished all the folds and we just put the sourdough to prove for 8 hours. I'm going to send you back so you can rejoin me after, well, it was a bit more than 8 hours. Good morning. So normally I'd do this stage before bed, but because it was quite cold last night, it hadn't proven enough, it hadn't doubled in size. So it's actually the next morning and I'm hoping it's not overproved. But you can see all the little air pockets there in the dough. But that's essentially what you want. You want the dough to double. So just dampen your hand and then you can ease it out from the edges. And there's your dough. Oh gosh, the smell of garlic is so strong. It smells delicious. Now so far I haven't needed any specialist tools, but a scraper is really useful for this stage. So what you want to do is lift the sourdough off, stretch it out and pull it into the middle. And then with the other side. And this is called the shaping stage. And then this side into the middle and then this side. And that should give you a quite nice little roll that's fairly smooth. But then you can just start working it into a ball. And you're kind of cupping underneath the dough and holding with your other hand and just turning. And once you've got a nice circle, then I always do this, which is you cup your hands and you pull the dough towards you. And can you see how that creates tension on the skin? And then I just do it the other way around. And I do that for a few times. And that just creates a really nice, round, smooth ball. There we go, perfect. Now the next piece of specialist equipment you need is a banneton. I use quite a small banneton because I like a higher loaf. So this is a 20 centimetre banneton. And what you need to do before you put your dough in here is to flour the centre, but not with any old flour. You must use rice flour. Rice flour is really silky and fine, and it will help make sure that your bread comes out easily when you want to bake it. Won't be stuck. Okay, and then you just want to lift into the banneton. So you're going to scrape underneath, or actually, you can dust the top of your loaf as well to help. So you're just going to scrape underneath, lift and turn, and then place within the banneton. The final optional step once it's in the banneton is just to pinch your sides together. And again, you're just trying to create that tension. Okay, and that is done. Just give it a little extra brushing. The last thing you want it to do is have it stick. And then the cloth goes back on and it goes into the fridge now for at least 3 hours. This is our opportunity to go around the garden and look at some of the things that are coming up this spring. Okay, so what else do I want to show you in the garden? So here is the pallet bed with the hazel branches I still haven't removed after pruning. And look at all the mint coming up. Oh, that's so exciting. I love all this mint. Now, my colleague at work, Kristen, she wants some of this blackcurrant mint. There it is. So look, Kristen, there's loads. I shall dig you some up. But yeah, there's a few weeds in that bed as well, but lots and lots of mint. Daylilies coming up, and let's look for the, oh yes, look. The wild garlic has really took in this patch now. Brilliant. In amongst the weeds on this side, we also have 3-cornered leek. There we go. And the little drawer bed. This is where I planted the sweet cicely. I see no sign of it as yet, but we do have plenty of bronze fennel at this side of the bed, and there's a horseradish in the middle, which will be coming up again soon, I'm sure. Okay, we're back in sync with one another now, and I've just taken the sourdough out of the fridge. It's been in there at least 3 hours, maybe 4, and it's risen now to the top of the banneton, you can just see. Okay, now it should just spring back to the touch, and it does. Good. But this is really the moment of truth, because once you turn this out, then you know if you're going to get a good loaf or not. Okay, I have a piece of just silicone paper that I reuse, and you just need to turn it out onto the tray directly. So here we go, moment of truth. And out it comes. And you know what? That's looking pretty good, pretty good. And then the next step is to score the loaf. So you got to be confident with this. And actually, yeah, it's sharp. I was thinking maybe I needed to redo the thing. So I like to do a little bit of a star shape. Everybody kind of has their preference for how they score, but that's what I'm going with. There we go. And then it's lid on and straight into the oven. And I've got the oven on as high as it goes. And I do start my breads from a cold start, so I haven't preheated the oven, because actually that's not very energy efficient, and you still get a really good loaf even if you don't preheat. And that's what I'm looking for, a good loaf, not an Insta loaf. I'm managing expectations here, you see. The other thing I should say about that is that if you do turn out your loaf, or you can tell in the banneton that it's a bit loose, it's not going to hold itself in a good shape, so usually that's because it's been overproofed, then the easiest thing to do is just make buns. So just divide up the dough, put it on a baking tray and bake for about 25 minutes, something like that, and you've got lovely buns. Now for this full loaf, you're looking at least 50 minutes. So at 50 minutes, I'll take it out of the oven, check it, and then I'll put it back into the oven just to brown off for a few more minutes. Oh, it's a shame we lost the sun. So this patch is all Jerusalem artichokes. There's still loads of them under there. And we've got more bronze fennel this side. And this is where I planted some of the asparagus that I grew from seed. Don't see any sign of that as yet. We've got the monster that is the rhubarb. That's come up wonderfully. And I imagine, yeah, ready to harvest some stalks very soon. Now this is an absolute delight. This is the jostaberry, and it's got loads of blossoms on. So this didn't fruit last year. It was his first or second year in last year. The one on the allotment fruited, but this one didn't, so I'm really hoping it does this year. And then round the corner from that is the goji berry, which is huge. These things are far too close together, obviously. It's huge, but it has not fruited. It blossoms every year, but does not fruit. Could this be the year? What does fruit are my gooseberries. And if I move some of the goji berry foliage out of the way, you can see them there. And they were really prolific and great last year. Really good. Hey, Claire, look at these. I can make a pea frame. Right, that's been 50 minutes, so let's look it in the oven. Here we go. Yeah, not bad, not bad. So now what I do is tip it out and I just pop it back in the oven for about 5 minutes. And that's because I like my bread to have a good crust on it. So I'll have 5 more minutes and then that's it. Sourdough done. So there we go, 1 sourdough loaf. It's not my best loaf I've ever made. It did spread a little bit, but it's still got good spring and it should have a nice crumb inside. But you have to let it cool. That's the trick with sourdough. So hard to do because, oh, you just want to dive right in. It smells so garlicky. But I'm going to be good. I'm going to let it cool and then we'll come back and we'll slice it. We'll look at the crumb and the most important thing, we'll give it a taste test. And the wardrobe bed, which is flanked by the blueberries, is full of winter radish, which we have established I'm no good at growing. But among the winter radish is a baby rhubarb. In fact, I think there's 2 in there. So I need to dig those out. There are also some what I think might be perennial leeks and, oh, of course, cutting celery. And let's just end with a flower. This is my rhododendron and it is just absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. I wish the sun had stayed out to show you this. I love it. We're back in the kitchen. The sourdough is now fully cold and ready to be sliced. Okay, the moment of truth, the taste test. Now this isn't the kind of holy sourdough that you would see because there was quite a lot of whole wheat flour in here. You can just see the speckles of the garlic, and you can smell the garlic, but you can also smell that sourness. Once you eat sourdough, no other bread will do. Sorry to sound like a bread snob, but it's true. So I hope you enjoyed that. You did ask for it. It was something a little bit different. I highly recommend, if you want to try making sourdough, to check out Elaine Body. She'll tell you how to make your starter. And you don't need the books, although the books are great. She has a website and it's got the master recipe on there, and I'll link it below. So I guess the question is, will you be making sourdough now? Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow, and you've got lovely buns.